Good morning, everyone. Happy
Good morning.
Saturday.
Good morning.
All right, happy Saturday, everyone. Um, Coming to you here from just north of Harvard. Emily and I are in Massachusetts here, spending a little time in Boston and Cambridge, celebrating a niece's graduation from Tufts, and kind of going down memory lane with Emily's schooling here. But we've got a great program this morning. I say that not knowing what our program will be, but we just always have a great program. Actually, we do know of a couple of things. I believe we have Julie on here, and we're going to chit chat a bit with her on an incredible accomplishment on her health. And so we'll chat on that a bit. And I think we might have some bullet points or topics maybe from the amazing segment last Tuesday with Dr. Stu Men on his HealthPointe points as well. But Carol, it's looking much warmer and sunnier where you're at than where I'm at. So why don't we turn it over to you?
Well, good morning, everybody. Happy Saturday morning. I'm going to see if I can hit a shade tree here. I was trying to find a spot, and then timing. Anyway, well, you are watching graduations, and we're watching regionals for the women's softball. And these are the big time ones. These are the best of the best. And so Duke won yesterday, and they're hosting that. So 11 o'clock today will be the second game. And like anything, it gets tighter and tighter, and kind of reminds me a little bit of HealthPointe. We have our successes, and then as we start getting into, I'm going to stop here for a second. As we start getting into closer to our weight, sometimes it becomes tighter and tighter, a little more difficult. I have to work a little harder. And I guess that's with anything, as you are getting tighter and tighter towards a goal. But I just wanted to, real quickly, I never know what I'm going to say. And I think God leads me on Saturday mornings when I get up and gives me an idea. I came across this and I thought, it's not really anything new, but it's a good thing to kind of remind ourselves, whether we're on the HealthPointe program, actively losing weight, or whether we are in maintenance and just keeping our weight within, typically a 5-pound range, up, down, right in that little arena. And the article talked about 8 things to do when you go out to eat. And I thought this was interesting because, of course, we're going to go to barbecues now that summertime is nearly upon us. We're going to be, out to restaurants, out more with people. And so I think these are things to kind of remind yourself wherever you are in the program. For Hank and I, we've been on maintenance for years, like Eric and Emily, but we still have to remind ourselves. We can't just go and, when I say eat at random or overeat, we have to make healthy choices because we committed to that years ago. Not stringent ones, but healthy ones. So anyway, what these are, the first one is a substitute food. So a lot of times when you're looking at a menu, you can, eat this or that. HealthPointe is a category of choices. And so I think sometimes you want to look at substituting something. Let's say you've got a dinner and it comes with rice. Well, ask them what their vegetable is. Well, a lot of times it's steamed broccoli or steamed mixed vegetables or whatever. Well, ask for a double portion of that, or just skip the baked potato, or you're not going to die because you don't have that starch. So just make different choices. The second one is to watch your salt. Restaurants sometimes have a tendency to be heavy with the salt. Sometimes they don't. It just depends on your chef. But I would just put a flags up when I'm ordering and say, I'm trying to watch my salt. Please have the chef have a light hand with salt. I can always add it at the table. And I find restaurants are really, really, really good as far as helping with different things like that. Ooh, somebody just ran over a basketball and it made a big explosion. So the third one is stay away from packaged foods, fried foods, anything like that, deep fried foods, pan fried foods, because many times they're not fried in olive oil anyway. They're fried in seed oils, which we want to stay away from. Sometimes rancid oils. And so if you can stick with baked or broiled, that's always a really good option. And then maybe you can even ask them for additional spices you can add on, or many times they put like a nice pesto or some type of a spice on that. The fourth one is you'll always have a salad, a side salad, and make it healthy. Now, sometimes their side salads are major. And so typically if you order a side salad, order it for you and your spouse, your sweetheart, your partner, or somebody at the table that'll split it with you. And tell them always dressing on the side. Ask them what type of dressing and just say, hey, I'd like olive oil and vinegar, please. You can skip some of the other prepared dressings because many times those, again, are filled with seed oil and sugar and all the things that you don't want. Then the fifth one is have sauce on the side, just like your salad dressing. If you're ordering something and it's got a sauce, ask them to just put it on the side, even if it's a piece of seafood and it's got some kind of a butter or something on covering it. Just say, hey, could you just take that butter and put it on the side? Just bake my fish, put it on the side, and then I will put it at will. And then you can control, because a lot of this is just control of the different things that you're ordering. The next one, again, I mentioned earlier, is increase veggies and do a double portion of veggies rather than a like mashed potatoes. A lot of times I'll say, instead of mashed potatoes, do you have cauliflower, mashed cauliflower? And you even sometimes have to be a little bit concerned with that because sometimes they just put a lot of stuff in them. So just ask for a double portion of vegetables and ask for steamed vegetables. They almost always have steamed vegetables. The other thing to do is either order off of your appetizer or your tapas menu, or split your meal in half with somebody else. Or just if you're not and you're ordering an entree, ask them for a little take-home container at the same time they serve, and divide it in half right then and there. So you, again, are taking control. You're not saying, okay, well, I'm going to eat and then I'll take the rest home. Well, many times you end up eating all of it because it's just so good. I've certainly fallen into that myself. And so ask them to give you a container right off the bat. And then oh, it says order bottled water. Well, here's my feeling on bottled water. I think the statistic was 80% of it is nothing but tap water put in a bottle. I'm not saying that all of that is the case, but I would say either something like a Perrier water, or hey, bring your own e-spring water in a bottle. I've done that. I bring perfect water all the time, and I bring it to high-end restaurants. I put it right out on the table. Nobody ever says anything, and I'm good to go, and I know what I'm drinking. So I would say have that with you. So that's the 8 little simple things, and they are simple, but many times we have to remind ourselves of them. It makes me think of David Dornan at one conference when he was on HealthPointe, and he talked about from one day to the other, he put 9 pounds on because apparently he OD'd on Mexican food, and of course all the salt and sodium and what have you. So I would say stay away as much as possible from things like Asian, Mexican. Asian is loaded with sugars, MSG, and sodium, and not all dishes, but even if they don't taste sweet, sometimes they have a lot of stuff in them, and as soon as it's put in a sauce, you've lost control because you don't know what's in that sauce. I say stay away from buffets, even salad bars. Sometimes you have to just be careful and be mindful when you're eating. Be mindful of what you're selecting. And so I think that's about it. That's what I wanted to talk about this morning. And the other one is, oh, I was listening to a great HealthPointe audio. We have such a nice cadre of HealthPointe audios, and as many years as I've been on and as many audios as we have, I go back and I listen and I think, wow, I didn't hear that before. Or, oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Oh, that's where that came from. And so it's good to go back and remind yourself and rewind on HealthPointe audios. Well, I did this yesterday while I was power walking, and I came across HealthPointe Q&A, which is a panel of the two Davids, and I think it's Marisha was the gal's name, the moderator. And they're from Australia, David Stock and David McPherson, and both of them were ex-athletes and found themselves terribly overweight in the professions that they were because they continued to eat like an athlete long after they left. And I loved that audio because I think David McPherson in particular, he went so thoroughly right in the beginning of the how HealthPointe works and what it is, clear, concise, to the point, and very, very thorough. And I thought, wow, here is a great audio. If you're talking to somebody about the program and you've maybe sent them the Ben Physic 11-minute or mine or whatever you've sent them, I would also send them that early in the game and then also multiple times during the HealthPointe program, because it's a great reminder of all of the different nuances in the HealthPointe program that make it work so well, but are so easy to overlook. And so that's my spiel for this morning. I just wanted to kind of let you know that. And I think Hank might have a little comment at the very end to promote our Tuesday night program. And I would highly recommend you being on that. We're going to interview Eric a little bit about his recent success. And Hank is going to touch on a new product that we have that he's fallen in love with. And so clear your Tuesday nights if you are, especially if you're a business builder, or if we're hitting a topic on some of our really excellent health products, because you'll really learn a lot about things outside of HealthPointe for creating a healthy lifestyle. So with that, Eric, I'm going to turn it back over to you. And thanks for listening, guys.
Hey, those are some really, really great points. And so I can see us getting that put together into almost a worksheet. You know, some of that type of stuff is very valuable to just review. You know, they say repetition is the mother of learning, and restaurants in particular are one of those, you know, they can kind of grab you at the ankles type of things. I would say two things that can consistently come up if somebody has any hiccups in their program, particularly if they're active in a 6-week cycle, would be restaurants, and then just generally socializing, right? And which often happens at a restaurant as well. That seems to be the a couple of things that people tend to be challenged with. Although I have to say, as I was listening to you talk through that, I was wondering, were you a little bird on my shoulder when I was downing that Boston lobster roll last night?
You find the lobster, it went into the roll. That was a problem.
I think they call it a lobster roll, not because it's in a roll, but because you roll out of there after you eat it.
And you have some additional rolls.
Yeah, but no, we did indulge a little bit, but you know what? Even in lifetime maintenance mode, you know, Emily and I split that lobster roll, and trust me, it was plenty. And I made note of the fact that the waiter, and there was probably 8 or 10 of us at the table, and when the waiter was going through, you know, any questions and went through the specials, one of them had some sort of, I don't know if it was mashed potatoes or something like that. And he was quick to note, if you would like to substitute that with something else, we have these vegetables. And to your point, Carol, you know, I'm finding more and more restaurants are tuning into the marketplace and what people are routinely asking them, and they're being proactive about it, which I just thought was really awesome. So,
you know, I think you're right. And even high-end restaurants, I think high-end restaurants even more are really tuning into that. And when people bring their own water, or they just say, I'll have water with lemon, it's very acceptable nowadays. Used to be if you ordered water and lemon because you were a cheapskate and you didn't want to order and tack onto your bill a beverage. But nowadays people just drink water and that's what they want. And so the restaurants are very, very willing to work with you. And it kind of makes it fun, actually.
It does. Another thing that we experienced in the past actually is if we would ask for an entree to be split, we would just mention that we're sharing such and such an entree, and then maybe we would get one appetizer with that. To your point, Carol, and I was almost embarrassed how they bent over backwards routinely on that, where they're bringing out extra, they're serving on two different plates, and we're like, oh gosh, you didn't need to do this. We were going to just, split it at the table. But so I guess my point with this, for anybody that is certainly active in the program right now, is I used to be a bit self-conscious about that kind of stuff at restaurants, and I quickly found that there's no need to be. They are very aware and very, generally speaking, again, it's going to depend on the restaurant, but yeah, don't be too self-conscious about this. It's your health. Don't let somebody, indirectly or directly, negatively impact your health. You take control. You get a little bit of, starch in your shirt, so to speak, and be an advocate for your own health. You're their customer. Don't forget that. And that's what I had to remind myself of, because I was not used to making, specific, requests and stuff like that in a restaurant, but I was pleasantly surprised at how willing they were to serve.
Yeah, I think the other thing too is that, especially I'll speak to the folks that are in weight loss, maybe are newer in the program than some of us veterans that lost weight many years ago and have been on lifetime maintenance. I'll tell you something, it's a very flexible program. We never feel like we're denied. Tonight we're going to a really, really nice Peruvian restaurant called Selva's. And they're going to be serving ceviche and, just different types of really unique Peruvian fish and what have you. Now, we're not gonna order crazy stuff, but we're not going and thinking, oh my God, I can't have this, I can't have that. Because when you are on health maintenance, especially the longer you do, your body is happy with its weight. And even if you do flub, and I'm not saying this to new people, but I'm saying even if you do flub a little, boy, the next day, boom, you're right back at it. And your body goes right back where it's normally happy. All you have to do is find your happy place in your body, your happy space, your happy weight, and then keep your body happy. And then when you want to be a little extra happy, your body will forgive you and go back to your happy place.
Yes, exactly. Well, hey, speaking of happy and happy body, I wonder if Julie, if you're still on. I think I see that you are, and yes, you are unmuted. So Julie, good morning, Julie. How are you?
I'm good. Good morning, everybody.
All right.
Morning, Julie.
Good morning.
So we don't have any official script here or anything, but some of you may have seen a recent post in our private Facebook group, a wonderful before and after picture of Julie. And Julie, you and I can just kind of ping back and forth here on some discussion points, but I'll let you maybe initiate with anything that you would like to comment about.
Well, I love listening to Carol. Those tips for restaurant dining out were just excellent. And the sharing, asking for a double vegetable instead is something we've been doing too. And it just, I feel so much better after I've gone out to eat if I've really tried to stay healthy. You just feel better. Some of that stuff is too heavy. Or maybe I'm just realizing it now. I don't know. But boy, this has been quite a journey with Eric's help, great help. And I feel like I've got tools now for the rest of my life.
Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit about that journey. So, and you've mentioned before you're comfortable with sharing some level of detail. So, I guess let's start with approximately when you started and what's been your accomplishments today. Kind of start off with maybe what your goal
Sure.
was and where we are as of today.
Sure. Well, I went on the program I think it was the last Monday of September, and I remember getting a medical report from my doctor just a few weeks before that, where I was definitely in the pre-diabetes range, and I knew my weight was too high, but somehow you always think, not me, not me. I walk, but it was me. And I just could not live with it. So I was familiar with Eric. I'd heard him talk about some of the things he does. And I flagged him down one day and said, we need to have a conversation. And I spilled it all out. I have got to do something. And that was the beginning. I've been on other plans, lots of other plans over the last at least 50 years. Either the timing wasn't right, or the program wasn't right, or I wasn't ready. But this time I was ready, and the support I had, Eric, every day was remarkable. And so from where I started to where I am now, I really am amazed that we did it together. And it's at 40 pounds.
Yay!
Yeah, 40 pounds off. I just feel so much better. I have less aches once in a while my knees flare up, but overall I can get those steps in, and I've tried to raise my steps because of the less weight that I'm carrying around. And I really am just thrilled. And I know I can't go back, and I won't go back. And now I have the tools to just continue on with my lovely life.
Oh, that's so great, so great. And then on your goal of your A1C numbers, which again you candidly mentioned that you got that report from your doctor
Yes.
that you were pre-diabetic. I know you've had at least one recheck on your
Yes.
A1C numbers, and maybe give us an update on that.
Sure. So with that report that threw me into a frenzy and worry and seeking out help, at that time it was 6.1. I had never been over 6. I'd never. And hearing her words, "You are now in the pre-diabetic range," just hit me. And starting with the program and adjusting, and it was I really had to put myself first, front and center, to do this. And it was okay. It was good. And within, let's see, I think I went in January. And actually I reached out to my doctor and asked, you had mentioned you'll check me in 6 months or a year. I'm asking, can we check it at 6 months? I really want to know if my efforts are showing results. And she said, sure. And it came down to 5.7, and she will recheck it in July. Oh, and I can't wait, because I bet it's down even more.
Yes. Oh, man.
That's the best.
That is the best. And doesn't it just give you such a feeling? I mean, there's a number of things in life that we don't have control about. But there's those that we do. And how does it make you feel in terms of just kind of that feeling of control, I guess is the best way to put it, that, something as, perhaps, scary as your A1C number, to know that you were able to learn the skills and not just learn it, but apply it, right? You know,
Right.
that's the difference maker there. How does that make you feel?
Fantastic.
Yeah,
I
I
like
bet.
I like knowing I have control. And I I think over all these years, that was the one I could control lots of things, patience, temper. Um, but food was a hard one for me. And so
Mhm.
now I feel like I've got the tools. I can do this. I am not going back. There's no way. No way. In fact, I hope to I could stand to take off some more, but I'm gonna I just have the tools to do it. And a
Yeah,
friend
you mentioned that. Go ahead. What's that?
and a friend, a coach
Yeah.
friend.
Yes, yes. Absolutely. And boy, I just have to really emphasize that we talk in this acronym that sometimes we use called WAR. You know, we're going to go to war on these things. You know, war with two
Yes.
R's. You know, WARR. And you know, if it's ever asked, well, which? And by the way, that stands for walking, accountability, real foods, and real supplementation. And if asked, you know, which of those four maybe has a higher priority, the answer is accountability.
Yes.
And you are just 10 out of 10 on that front. You know, it's like the rising sun. You know, it's I can always count on Julie's check-in. And you know, this is asynchronous, so we, you know, whether somebody's using Facebook Messenger or text message or WhatsApp, you know, various platforms, but uh like I said, extremely consistent and reliable. Julie's check-in will come in, and you know,
Maybe
we
later
call
than some days.
it some days, and not only, you know, maybe later on some days, but your journey here has not been like you've just been staying in one place these months. I mean, you and Bruce are travelers. I mean, you guys are, I don't know how many trips to Chicago, and you were recently gosh, where were you? I mean, you've been in the Carolinas. I think you've been in
We were in
Tennessee.
Tennessee for a graduation. Yeah. Chicago a couple times. Hilton Head over
Right.
Thanksgiving. Not bad.
Yes, yes. And so just like, you know, Carol was talking earlier, going through the list about restaurants, and, you know, we made the comment that restaurants and socializing, into that bucket, I would say travel. Travel is
Yeah.
disruptive. Travel, and you know, here's the other thing is when you traveled on the eve of your travel, you would often comment in your check-in how you had things planned. And this wasn't like heavy planning, but it does take a little bit of forethought, right? You can't just
Yes.
pack your bags and hop on a plane and then show up and say, "Oh, what do I do now?" You had your supplementation with you. You had, you know, your various things kind of figured out. It's not doesn't mean that that plan is always going to work perfectly, but at least you gave it a little bit of the pre-planning that was necessary. Does that sound about accurate?
That sounds accurate. And those were tips from you and in some of the audios too, to plan ahead, not only just for the week and your protein day, but wherever you plan to be, try to pre-plan. And it has worked. And I don't underestimate the power of the supplementation. I never did that before. And I think it has helped me. Uh, it just has helped me. It is a supplement, and I needed that, and I think I probably need it forever.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's interesting. You know, we talk a fair amount on this program about the supplementation, but certainly within the Health Point program, you know, we emphasize, you know, well, we it's one of those four tenets, you know, the real supplementation, and you know, filling in the nutritional gaps. Certainly, we're going to do our you know, our proper macros, you know, in you know, for, you know, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. But as I've mentioned before and demonstrated on this program using a refractometer, that even if you're getting certified organic fruit and vegetables at Whole Foods or whatever grocery store, you put that into a device and measure the nutrient density, and sometimes the reading is not excellent. It's not even good. Sometimes it's just fair or poor. And so to get our cells that dense nutrient is just great for optimizing. We know that most Americans are very imbalanced in their omega-6 to omega-3 ratio. And so getting the omega-3, our ocean, our fish oils in, definitely can make a difference. So, gosh, I guess just the last thing that comes to mind as we're kind of going through this, Julie, is we talk about how HealthPointe is flexible, particularly once you get into lifetime maintenance. But in your case, it was actually flexible. And I think we should make note of this, that you had a choice. You wanted to check into being flexible in terms of the continuity of back-to-back 6-week cycles. And quite frankly, I had never experienced someone asking about that, and it sounded great. And so you did it. And maybe you can speak to that you started, like you say, at the very end of September, but you didn't do, it hasn't been continuous back-to-back 6-week cycles. Do you want to speak to that?
Sure.
Your thinking?
Sure. That is right. I asked you, what do you think about this? Because I wanted to show myself that I could hold the first 20-pound loss. It was just important to me because I know my history of other programs, and then I go off and I gain all or more back. And I was really important to be able to see if I could hold on the it wasn't lifetime maintenance, but it was maintenance period. And then I could do it. But then I jumped back on the 6-week weight loss, 2 rounds. And does that take me to where we are? I must have had another one in there.
Yeah. No, that's it. That's actually it. Yeah, that was another 12 weeks.
Okay.
So another.
And I'm going to try to do the maintenance again. And if I'm not going to say if it doesn't go well.
You noticed my message to you the other day,
yes, I did.
Right?
That was great. Yeah, I got to make that thinking correct.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is a forever life plan. I'm never going back. And I'm bringing Bruce, my husband, along with me a little bit. It has to affect him too. So anyway, I am so appreciative. I want others to be able to chat, but it's been amazing, real awakening for me. And I'm just forever grateful.
Well, we sure appreciate you. We can sit on here and pontificate as much as we want to every week, but there's nothing like getting somebody like yourself that's gone through and hit their stated goal. Like you said, you're moving into lifetime maintenance mode, but you mentioned that you might do a cycle here or there. We'll cover that at some point. But yeah, just to comment on your decision to do that, we'll call it an interim lifetime maintenance mode. I thought when you explained your rationale on that, I thought, well, this is brilliant. Certainly there was no problem with it. In fact, I almost want to maybe make the suggestion to some people that they do that. I'll just kind of keep it as a tool or resource or suggestion. We'll call it the Julie plan, because quite frankly, let's say somebody's got 100 pounds to lose, or I just use that number because it's roughly a year. There can be, understandably, a bit of a low level anxiety about, okay, when I'm progressing, I'm doing great, I can see I'm going to hit that 100 pounds, but then can I keep it? And what you did is you did kind of a trial on that for a number, quite a length of time, where, like you said, you got down 20 pounds and then you went into lifetime maintenance
Yes.
to experience that. And I just thought that alleviated the anxiety on your part. I mean, every time you do lifetime maintenance, it's going to be, you got to kind of tackle it fresh as it is, but at least you had that experience to draw on to say, I've been here before. I know I can do it again.
Yes.
Can I ask you a quick question on that? I think this is a great topic. And so, Julie, when you went on your maintenance, were you accountable every day to Eric, or did you
No,
were?
I stayed. There's only been one. Well, no, I checked in every day. I missed one weigh-in because my scale was already packed in a suitcase. But no, every single day. Right, Eric?
That's right. That's right.
I think that's a really key point there. Thank you for sharing that, because I think that's very valuable. And when you said you packed your suitcase, I mean, you packed your scale. I thought that was so funny because many of you know Bruce and Eileen. They also travel like you do, and pack their scale. And I thought, wow, this is great. I love it. So you're a scale packer too. That's why you're successful. So congratulations to you. And thanks for answering that question.
And I really appreciate that Eric told me about the Saturday morning walk and talks, because gosh, this is a really fun group. I look forward to hearing what everyone has to say. And it's just that boost of motivation at the start of the next week. I love it.
That's great. That's great. Yeah, with the community, it's just it's nice to, on a weekly cadence, just to know that we're tapping into like-minded people and getting some tips and tricks, but really just tapping into like-minded people in real time. Yeah. So, well, again, Julie, continued success, and congratulations on your achievements. And thank you so much for sharing. We could easily and joyfully use up our entire time just in conversation with you, because this is really at the heart what it's all about is, getting the results, changing your health trajectory. But I don't want to tap you out. I want to be able to invite you back in future episodes and hear more from you. But for today, thank you so much for sharing on this. Really appreciate it.
I am very grateful to you and this whole group and this plan. So great.
All right. Thanks again, Julie. And continuing around the horn, we've got a good amount of time left. Who would like to share next? Raise your hand or just unmute.
Good morning, everybody. Okay. I'm out running again.
Erica's always running.
It's an easy run, so I can talk. I think I probably won't be on long, but I'll talk a little bit. I registered for a really fun race. It's called Vacation Races. They run in national parks, and it's a half marathon in the Rocky Mountains on August 3rd. So that's why I'm running today. It's not an official 5K or anything. But Julie, thank you so much for sharing your experience and story. I know I have a friend and a HealthPointe client on right now, Stephanie. I don't know if she wants to chime in and unmute and talk about her success. But just like you, let's see if Stephanie wants to chime in. And if not, we'll give her a few seconds. If not, I'll speak a little bit about her success.
Hello.
Hey,
it's Stephanie.
Hey,
Erica. Well, this has been quite a journey. I swear to you, I never in my life thought that I would be able to get the weight that I have already gotten off. So it has been amazing. Erica is a wonderful coach, and the program has been really good. I really appreciate the talk this morning about restaurants because last night we went to the restaurant for my daughter's birthday. It was, I'm not in my comfort zone. We went to an axe throwing place and I threw axes. And, you know, I was really challenged because for some reason, I thought we were going to have dinner when we were there, but we didn't really. And it was like hot pretzels and French fries with cheese on them. So I was really challenged. I had a little bit, but not too much. But all that salt is I see it on the scale this morning. Sorry, Erica. But in general, I've been very successful, and it has not, you know, I mean, it's challenging sometimes, but it's really helpful to hear you say things like, in a restaurant, don't be afraid to ask for what you need, you know, be prepared, all those things, really, and keep hearing them. That's why I come on Saturdays. It's to keep hearing what other people's challenges are and know that you're not alone. That is really helpful. And the biggest thing for me, and I think what has caused it to be so successful for me, has been the accountability. That is major. So that's about it.
Thanks, Stephanie. That was awesome. Yeah, Stephanie is always checking in every day. And I know she didn't quite mention this, but with her success in the program, she's been able to get into new yoga buy-ins and doesn't experience acid reflux as much anymore, or if at all. So anyways, thank you, Stephanie. And all right, I'm chiming out.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Erica. Thank you so much, Stephanie. And great job. Great to hear from you. And gosh, this is just turning into like a testimonial session here. This is so good. Thank you so much. And Erica, good luck on your training on your vacation half marathon in the Rockies. That is so cool. And again, guys, why do we do this type of stuff? Why? It's to do the things we want to be able to do in life, right? To enjoy ourselves, to have the health to be able to do that. And so we're certainly doing that. So continuing around, anyone else want to unmute and chime in?
Eric, I just want to say something. We were talking about restaurants, and Stephanie, congratulations to you. That is so great. It's so good to hear from you. And I agree. I think this is what we want on these Saturday mornings. We want to hear from folks that are doing it right now because it builds belief amongst everybody. But I did want to mention when you go to a restaurant too, and this is probably something obvious, but maybe not, is to go online to the restaurants you're going to, pull up their website. Most times they have their menus, and you can pretty much gauge what you're going to be dealing with on the menu. And you can prepare in advance for things that maybe you need to bring with you, such as perhaps some whole fruit, if it looks like they're not going to be a fruity kind of restaurant. And so that you've got a food for afterwards. Also, even budgeting. Sometimes it's good to go on in advance and budget. But I think more budgeting the carbs and all of those types of things. I forgot to mention that earlier. And it's probably obvious, but it's also good to remind yourself. So back to you, Eric.
Oh, that's great. That's really great. And we can continue around the horn here, but I'm also curious if anybody wants to chime in, those that were able to participate in your guys' awesome event last Tuesday with Dr. Stu Mann and some of his points that he had on HealthPointe. Anybody want to unmute and chime in general, but particularly taking advantage of the recent time with Dr. Stu Mann, if anybody has any comments on that? Well,
I'll chime in.
Go for it, David. Good morning.
Stu Mann was fantastic. And he shared, again, as we do on it was sort of like the weekly Zooms. It was all these great tips and things to think about. And one of the things that he said many things that impacted me, but one was that food is cooked in the kitchen, and that the
Yeah.
portions need to be put on the plate, and then the plates are taken to the dining room table or the table. And he shared how at a restaurant, even if you have a really great meal, you don't go to the waiter and say, "Hey, I'd like to have seconds." And so Chris and I, who've been on lifetime maintenance for a long time, at the top end of that 5-pound up range. And part of it is that I do much of the cooking, and we're really good on portion control at breakfast and at lunch, but my dinners turn out to be too good, and we often end up eating everything that's there. So one of the things I've done since Tuesday is I make sure that I have a salad we have a salad before, we have some water before we eat the dinner, we have a salad before we eat the dinner, and that helps us and then I'm much more aware of staying within portion control.
Oh, that's great, David. So yeah, so you're kind of hit on two things there that I made note of as well. One was on the water. Remember, what is
Yes.
it? WPPSS, I think is, and he was asking everyone what he thought the W was for, and we were all wrong. They said water. So there's that, and then the fact that do your plating, we'll say, kind of do it like a restaurant, I guess. Do your plating in the kitchen, and then bring your plate to where you're sitting to eat. Don't bring this platter of food to the middle of the table. Is that kind of what you understood him to be saying?
Absolutely. So it's not
Yeah.
like going to Frankenmuth country style eating.
For those of you that are not familiar with Frankenmuth, Michigan, it's this Bavarian area, the city, and they are known for their these wonderful I don't know, it's just an experience
Chicken
there.
dinner.
It's almost like a theme park with chicken dinners, we'll say. But these chicken dinners are enough to feed an army, because they do it that way, right? I haven't been there in years, but I think it's like an all-you-can-eat type of a thing almost.
That's a choice. You don't have to do that. When we do go there, we just get a plate of food. But when I was younger and went with family, it was like, they just kept bringing plate, sort of like your Brazilian restaurant. They just keep, the plate goes empty, they bring another bowl, and so anyways, portion control.
Yeah, and that's, he kind of set the theme by, and we hear this, and this is in the HealthPointe daily messages and in the material in the guidebook, but they talk about, this is not about willpower. If you're trying to go on a multi-week, multi-month, sometimes a multi-year journey using just discipline and willpower, you're pretty much setting yourself up for failure before you even start. And instead, he commented, as it does in the HealthPointe program, that this is very much about, structuring your environment and, knowing those tools and techniques. And I just thought that was such a real interesting little tip and trick on your environment at the home, in that you don't do the Frankenmuth style of putting this platter of food out into the table, but rather do the technique of plating your food and just having that individual plate in front of you.
What I heard him say was, you want to win in your own home first before you win in restaurants and socializing and other things. You need to win in your own house.
Yeah. Well, that's great. Thank you so much, David. There was another point, and I'll chime in on this one as I wait for anyone else that wants to unmute and chime in. I really like the one. So earlier we were talking about how travel, how restaurants, how socializing can be a struggle for people. One of those things you have to kind of figure out and navigate and so forth. Stephanie commented about how much she valued the restaurant strategies. Another one, I guess we would broadly label it as kind of like emotional eating or stress eating. And do you remember It's Dr. Stu Men. And for those of you that are not familiar with Dr. Stu Men, by the way, we could throw his bio up here, but he, I mean, he's, board certified. I think his early career was as a flight surgeon. And he's, head of this, head of that. I don't know, is he still based out of San Diego, Carol? I'm not sure.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
And so just incredibly intelligent individual, just has had a career in medicine. And he's just a huge advocate of the HealthPointe program, and is, very much front and center. It seems to be in the driving of his business as well. In fact, in that Tuesday night training, I think a lot of us thought he was just going to comment in general, about somebody in his position as a successful physician, deciding to, operate his business. And instead, well, he did that, but with a strong HealthPointe focus, almost 100% focus on that. But on getting back to what he commented about as far as stress eating and emotional eating, and he actually credited his late friend, Pat Zifferblatt. I guess it doesn't for the
Zifferblatt.
Steve Zifferblatt.
Yeah.
Yes, that he learned this from Steve Zifferblatt, and that is kind of the takeaway was that I took was delay, don't deny. Delay, don't deny, which means, let's just, paint a scenario. We've all experienced in some context or another. You come home, let's say you've had a real difficult day, and your habit is, because you've had this stress and you're kind of all wound up, that you're going to quote unquote reward yourself with this eating. It could be eating, it could be stress eating, it could be emotional eating, it could be other things. It could be alcohol, right? You get home, oh, I've had such a hard day, I've got to have a beer or a wine or something like that. And again, in HealthPointe, we're not trying to be teetotalers. We're just trying to look at it from a healthy habit standpoint and say, is that type of habit something that is, getting you to your health goals that you want? So what he said he learned was, you delay, you don't deny. So you come home in that scenario and you've had a tough day, and your typical habit, the way you wired your physiology, is to reward yourself with this food, okay, to have some sort of unhealthy food. And instead of saying, no, I'm not going to do that, say, I'm not going to do that for the next 10 minutes, because in the next 10 minutes, or whatever the space of time is, I'm going to instead I'm going to probably do it, or I'm going to give myself the option to do it, but I'm going to delay that for just a bit here. And instead, I'm going to just, go do a walk for 10 minutes, or go do X. I mean, you fill in the gap on what you would do. Probably the most sensible thing would be just to say, well, I'm going to go ahead and allow myself to do that if I still want to do that in 10, 15, 20 minutes or whatever it is. But first, I'm going to go out and do this walk. And so you go do that walk and you come back, and the way he kind of portrayed it is, then you just, you give yourself the option again. Well, do I still want to have that cocktail, or do I still want to have that comfort food? And in many cases, as we all know that have ever experienced this, you don't, right? You change. Sometimes, especially if you do something physical like a walk, you don't usually crave stuff like that, unhealthy stuff, whether it be food or drink, if you just did some exercise. So I just thought that was a really brilliant bullet point to handle a major topic and a major sticking point that a lot of people have, I think, just in life in general, certainly in HealthPointe. And that is, and the thing about it is that I think there's and I'm sure the psychiatrists out there could speak to this better than I am, but there's almost kind of there is kind of like I deserve it type of a thing, right? There's a kind of you almost feel, you don't feel guilty when you do it. And I'm speaking, I'm not, preaching here. I'm saying myself as well, where you're like, I deserve that, right? I've worked so hard. I've done all this. I've had a stressful day. This hit me this way or whatever. And there's kind of, I'm not finding the right word for it, but you know what I'm saying? We all know what I'm saying, I think. And that is that there's kind of like a self-righteousness about it, right? You don't feel like you're really, going off the rails, but you string that together, whatever that food or drink is, and you string that together for, X amount of times throughout a year, and that can really add up. Did that one ever hit anybody else like it hit me? Dr. Stu Mann's comment on that, on the stress eating one?
That hit me, and I'll tell you, when you listen to this HealthPointe Q&A, I think it's David McPherson, one of the key statements he says there is the fastest way to put weight on is to have the alcohol, because the alcohol, sugar alcohol, goes to your system the faster than anything, and it'll put on weight faster than any other thing you can eat. I thought it was a very important point he made, and he's got also a he's a sports medical background. The other thing sometimes is we get into entering into the home, and it might be the drink, the glass of wine or whatever, but sometimes it's survival. And I don't know about you, but my blood sugar gets low because I have not snacked properly. I get into survival mode. I think most people are like that. When your blood sugar drops because you haven't had a protein snack, when you get in the house, it is like you're an animal and you are just going to put anything in your mouth just because you're starving. And so to eliminate that situation before you get in the house, by having a protein snack and some water in your drive home, which is what HealthPointe recommends, when you get into your house, your blood sugar is stable and you can make those same decisions, like taking the walk, saying, you know what, I'll deal with that later. I'll walk first and then I'll make the decision. But you're now making a decision with a blood sugar that isn't wacko. And so you make much better choices.
That's right. Yeah, it's tough to even to have that delay versus deny type of strategy if you're just if your chemicals state, in this case your blood sugar, is so low that you're just ravenous and just crazy about getting something to eat or drink or something. So yeah, having those protein snacks, having that just the awareness, the strategy alone that you would want to have those handy and available can change your chemical state such that it makes it easier to make those healthy choices, like delay versus deny given a stressful day or whatever the circumstances might be. That's great. Carol, you had mentioned earlier that Hank, I think, is on.
Yeah, hello, Eric.
Hey, Hank, how are you?
You've been talking about the magic word stress, which most people today seem to be overstressed. And it affects your whole system, even your sleep and everything else, doesn't it? Then your system goes berserk. And we've gone through some stress lately because we just had our whole roof replaced with tile due to the hurricane that we had a while back, and finally got all approved by the insurance company, blah, blah, blah. And it was all stressful going through with the lawyers and everything else, okay, that we had to go through litigation. But finally it was handled. But then the roofers came pounding on the roof and this, and I mean, it was a stressful time, and I was having a hard time sleeping with all this stuff going on. And thank God for this new product that Nutrilite just released to us, ashwagandha. Oh my gosh, I cannot talk enough about it. I just tried it because we just got ours in our order. Excuse me. And last night, just before I went to bed last night, I took the first capsule. And I'll tell you, I slept like a baby. The product is so awesome. If you're under any stress whatsoever, I cannot recommend this product enough to anybody because it's an herb. It's an adaptogen herb again, but Nutri's done a wonderful job with it, and it's all natural. There's no additives in it or anything. And like I say, just one capsule that I took before I went to bed last night made a whole world of difference. So just want to share that with you. I'll be talking more about it Tuesday night in our training because they got Nutrite and Amway's running some specials on it, along with stress relief probiotics. And it's quite a combination. So stay tuned. It's an awesome, awesome product. And I think we got a worldwide market for this product. So I'll talk to you all soon. You're all doing a great job. Have a great day, guys.
All right. Well, thank you so much for that, Hank. Looking forward to that product. And boy, I tell you, just Nutrilite continues just to stay out in front on this, and that's just so great that they, here we are in the health and wellness field. There's a huge amount of people that are looking for better health, better wellness, and we've got the company and the products to back it up. So, well, I don't think you can. Go ahead.
We just want to say hi real quick to everybody.
Hey guys. Hey Bruce. Hey Eileen. How are you?
Good morning.
Yeah, we got in late because we're in Idaho, and right now it's 7 o'clock and it's 40 something outside, so we're freezing. And we just wanted to say hi real quick.
Great to see you guys. We never know where you're going to chime in from. Sometimes it's on a cruise ship, sometimes it's who knows where you're at. You guys, the rest of us live vicariously through you, so thank you for that.
We are right here by a hops. Oops. Right here by a hops field, a field of hops where they're going to grow hops.
Oh, interesting. Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
All right.
Eileen, do you want to brag on your mom?
Oh my goodness.
Go ahead.
Yeah. My mom is doing really well. Oh goodness, I forget. Is she at 25?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think she's at 25 pounds, and she was so used to just being overweight and had given up on being healthy at all. And she's 84, and she's like, she can't wait now to get through to the next lower number. Anyway, she's really happy. It's really helping her a lot. And she's now going to try to increase her steps by 500 steps and then another 500. But she was sedentary before. So yeah, really happy and proud of my mom. One day she made.
I love the comment she made is, I'm going to do this. I'm really going to do this. And it was just that determination. And for somebody that age to make those changes in habit, it's one thing to make them when you're 40. It's another thing to make them when you're over 80 and you have been, doing certain lifestyle habits, and then to want to change and be willing to change. So I wanted to have you sing her praises for sure. And you are such a good coach for her. You always have such uplifting, encouraging messages back to her. So that's what
she is
does.
Well, my mom was afraid to have me for a coach because she said Carol was nicer. So I had to practice on being nicer to my mom about whatever. So no,
I don't know. One of your students had a bad dream about me, so I must not be too nice.
Oh, that's funny. No, that was about being accountable. But we did go to the bowling alley yesterday with the family. We're visiting family, and the grandkids all had all this stuff like cheese sticks and fries and blah blah blah. And I sat with them, and Bruce came over to peek, and he's like, "Are you eating that?" And I'm like, "Get out of here! I want to eat this stuff. It's garbage." I didn't say that, but I'm like, "This doesn't even tempt me anymore." So I love, I love the program, and happy about that. Anyway, just wanted to say hi.
Tell us about
Oh.
traveling with your scale.
Yeah, so I think we packed our scale too. We had to leave the house at 2:30 in the morning when we got here. So I didn't want to forget it. And I don't think of the scale as like the enemy. If you're going to work hard, I like to see the reward for it. So if we're going to stick to our plan, I'm weighing in and I want to, even if it stays the same, I want to see the reward for our hard work. So it's a good thing. Yeah, I bring it on my carry-on so it doesn't get wrecked.
You inspired me, Eileen.
Oh, sweet. That's nice.
That's great, guys. As the saying goes, when the tide rises, all shit. See, Carol, you were struggling with that the other day too. When the tide rises, rises all ships, I think is what it is.
All ships rise. Yeah, one encourages the other, and one success encourages the other success. One that's hit a roadblock inspires another one, comes up with some ideas. And that's the beauty of Saturday mornings. We just really need. Sorry, I just dropped my phone. Are you there? Did I knock everybody out?
No, we're still here.
The phone slipped right out of my hands. Anyway, we really need to encourage everybody to get up. Don't turn the camera on, just get up and listen in. There's something about listening in first thing in the morning on a Saturday morning, even if you're not, you don't have to be walking or whatever, but being part of that community live, I think has a special flavor. You can listen to it later, and I think that's wonderful to do that. But experiencing it live and the off-the-cuff comments, and when maybe you think of something, you unmute and can say something. You don't have to put your picture up there. I really encourage, especially new clients, to be part of the community. It's really helpful.
Absolutely.
Back to you, Eric.
All right. Well, we will wrap it up. You probably can't see her. She's way over there, but my wife, Emily, is busy doing her run here this morning. And that leads me to my comment regarding next week. So she's finishing up her training because she's doing a marathon in Northern Michigan, the Bayshore, next Saturday. But also a number of us, including myself, will be getting educated at a conference. So I bring that up because next Saturday, we will not have a Saturday Zoom. So just bear that in mind, everyone. We will not have a Saturday Zoom. It's just kind of, we could maybe make it happen, but I think it would be pretty difficult. We've got our heads down and pretty focused on some things. So next week, no Saturday morning walk and talk Zoom, but a number of us will be learning so much and getting fresh insights and tools and so forth. So super looking forward to that. If there's nothing else, we'll do a wrap. All right, going once, going twice, 3 times. Okay, guys, this was an amazing episode. Thank you so much for everyone that contributed, and we'll see you next time, 2 weeks from now. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey, everybody.
Happy trails to you.